I've been an artist for a few years now, however, I have only been taking art seriously for around a year. I always had the intention to study art fundamentals on a regular basis, but life has been pretty unpredictable, and with that, my intention slowly disappeared into doing studies once every 2 months or just whenever I gathered a bit of energy. It's quite embarrassing. And you know what? For a while, I thought I was okay with that because I thought, well, I'm pushing myself with every piece of art to improve at something. Surely that's good enough for now. The problem with that is, drawing extremely complicated pieces with a lack of fundamentals of anatomy, perspective, and other important basics is technically a waste of time. It was an unhealthy amount of trial and error. For example, I would sketch a face for it to look wrong, for me to have to erase it and start again, over and over and over and over. Sure, I'm pushing myself, but it's a really inefficient way of getting better at art. I'm so sick of bumping into roadblocks with every single piece of art I make. For example, this unfinished 21 Pilots fan art probably took around 6 hours of my time just for me to realize I cannot execute it in the ways that I want because of my lack of fundamentals. The colors looked off, the faces looked very strange and distorted, and to be quite honest with you, I'm sick of the drawing. It has wasted me hundreds of hours of my time to be stubborn and try to push through these roadblocks. Because deep down, I know that the only way to ever stop relying on trial and error and luck is to get really good at fundamentals. So today, to fix that issue, I'm starting a series of studying my fundamentals on a regular basis until I become really good at art. I'll aim for 1 day every week of just fundamental studies, and if you're in the same boat as me, I'll be throwing all my studies into a text channel on my Discord, so you're very welcome to join. I'm also thinking of making maybe weekly assignments or something, community driven, so if you want to join, link in the description. So, this week I wanted to start with doing some head studies, as heads are one of the most important parts of character illustration, as that is usually the focal point. Now, I have studied heads in the past, but studying them a few times and then not practicing them frequently at all made my knowledge really blurry. My way of studying heads is practicing a weird mix of the Loomis method and the paper sheet method, where you imagine the front of the face is a curved sheet of paper. It really helps me imagine how the curvature of the face looks way easier. I'll also link some videos in the description that help me understand these concepts better, so if you're interested, feel free to click that. When doing head studies, I constantly struggle with the size of the circle on the sides of the head when trying to apply the Loomis method, the little cutout on the sides of the head, if you know what I mean. So one thing that I do to fix that is to look at other people's studies to try and instill in my head how people go about it. But a general guideline is that the cutout is around 2/3 of the size of the entire circle that shapes the main structure of the head. Also, be very careful with having correct information or interpreting information correctly when you study, because when I first started studying heads, I learned about the rule of thirds. 1/3 from the top of the hairline to the eyebrow bone, another third from the brow bone to the bottom of the nose, and finally from the bottom of the nose to the chin. But somehow, whether with a lack of dusting off my skills or my stupidity, I convinced myself it was 1/3 from the top of the head to the eyebrows, to the nose, to the chin, which threw my proportions off quite a lot, as you can imagine. So whenever I catch myself making this mistake, I make a little sketch on my study sheet where I remind myself how it really is and keep it there always, so I can always refer to it and be reminded of it. So I ended up doing heads from a lot of different angles, some from photo reference, some from a 3D model I found on Sketchfab that I rotated around and tried to draw. By the way, check out Sketchfab, it has saved me so many times when it comes to references. It's really an amazing website. Not sponsored. In the future, I also want to trace over photo references to learn where the different landmarks are placed and to really instill it in my head. Anyway, after those head studies, I decided to start drawing some boxes. Why? Well, boxes are the basis of everything. If you can imagine any shape or object inside a box, you basically have an easy way to rotate it in space, and therefore how it looks from every angle. But of course, you have to know how to fit objects into boxes, otherwise it's pretty useless. Anyway, you might think, why in the world would I waste my time drawing boxes? I know what boxes look like from every angle. They're such an easy shape. Yeah, I thought the same. And then I tried it. It's really not as simple as you may think. If you want to start practicing drawing boxes, I heavily recommend looking into Draw a Box. It's a free course on drawing boxes and other shapes and perspective, and it has helped me a lot. And again, this is not sponsored. I just want to mention as many useful things as I possibly can that have helped me a lot, and I hope they help others as well. So anyway, I started drawing boxes from different angles and it was so hard. I wanted to rotate them by 360 degrees, so I started with the front facing box and try to rotate it in all directions bit by bit. But I realized that I have a very hard time understanding how to place the sides of the boxes that we don't see, the back side. So I found some references, and every time I struggled, I looked at the reference and analyzed the boxes. And only when I felt I actually really understood the reference did I actually draw the box. I find this approach very useful because I only allow myself to draw something I fully understand. This way I remember my mistakes more vividly and I don't just copy a reference with no brain activity. And that's perhaps the most efficient way to learn things. When I got tired of drawing the boxes, I went back to drawing more heads, and when I got sick of that, I stopped the study for the day. Remember, the point of these studies is not to do a lot of studying, it is to do a decent amount of useful studies. If you keep pushing yourself too much, you're gonna get very sick very quickly, and you're probably gonna stop doing the studies on a regular basis. So I did exactly that. I stopped so I don't burn myself out. So there you have it, episode 1 of Getting Good. I'll use these videos as a way to hold myself accountable, and as I said before, I would love if you joined the weekly grind on my Discord. Good luck and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!